Hello and welcome to all of you out there. You out there, astrology friends. This is the monthly horoscope for June of 2024. And in general, and then for all the 12 signs, what does this month have in store energetically? And you can say in general that this month of June, there's not that much happening in the sky, and no eclipses, no retrogrades, no really hard transits that have been going on for months and months and months. So I think June overall, of course, overall, is a pretty good month, and there's an emphasis around, you could say, the beginning of the month up until the 18th of the month on the sign of Gemini, which shifts on the emphasis to the sign of Cancer, as from, you could say, the 18th of June and the rest of the month. So 2 areas of our lives are going to be highlighted, and I'm going to have a look at that. And of course, Jupiter, that is now full on in Gemini during the month of June, will have also a very beautiful highlight in that area of life because there's other planets there as well. So actually, the first 6 days, you could say, of the month are the best because generally you could say that Jupiter is trining Pluto. That was happening already at the end of the month of May, but it's continuing. The first week of June, Jupiter trining Pluto. It's one of my favorite transits because it's the transformation planet, Pluto, together with the purpose planet, Jupiter. So Jupiter is about expansion. It's about finding meaning, finding hope, and finding purpose. And if you combine those two, that's a new word. If you combine those two, you have true transformation. And the trine energy means that it comes easy. It comes pretty easy, although it's Pluto. So that's the first week of the month. And then you could say we have the Sun, we have Mercury, we have Venus, all in Gemini, but it will bump into 2 planets in a square to the sign of Pisces. So the Sun will square up to Saturn, and then it squares up to Neptune. Venus squares up to Saturn, then it squares up to Neptune. Mercury squares up to Saturn, then it squares up to Neptune. What does it mean? It means, yes, and in that same sign of Gemini, Jupiter is there at the very beginning. So it certainly shows that there's expansion going on in that area of your life. But I'm going to look at where Saturn is and where Neptune is, where you can find that you have to make sure that you do all the work, all the steps that you need to do, which is Saturn, which is a teacher, but also Neptune, which is about, disappointment. And so it's that combination of you do what you have got to do and you stay real. You're not going to be too idealistic, so to speak. It's that finding that balance between reality and between idealism. And but all in all, there's expansion going on for sure. So Gemini still has that huge focus. Now, towards the end of the month, as I said, towards the 18th of the month and onwards, it's more a combination. It's more an emphasis on Cancer. So our emphasis from communicating, which is Gemini, being lighthearted, having to look at information in all different angles, goes more towards Cancer, which is the home, which is family, which is building something that gives you peace and that gives you comfort and the connections on an emotional level, and also the strengthening of that. So we see a little bit of a shift there. But all in all, not really a month to say, look, this is dreadful or this and that. Mars is in Taurus as from the 10th of June, and Venus is going to be in Cancer as well as from the 18th of June. So these, I want to name those just for the ones amongst you who love the details. The squares to Saturn, I'm going to name this. The 8th of June, Venus square Saturn. the 10th of June, the Sun square Saturn, and the 12th of June, Mercury square Saturn. So around at about the second week, you could say, of June, it's a lot about doing things as they have to be. Have a look at your values, which is Venus. Have a look at what you can do, what you can't do. Don't take any shortcut. Be very responsible for the things that you're doing. And then towards more the 16th and the 17th of June, we're going to have Venus and Mercury squaring up to Neptune, and then the Sun also squaring up to Neptune around the 20th, the 21st of June. So there is that, you could say, a bit of a danger, a bit of a pitfall, so to speak, but now you are warned. That has to do with seeing things a bit too pink and expecting too much from, wherever Neptune is. We'll see that in a minute. So it's a lot about balancing these two planets, I think, June. It's a lot about reality versus your ideals and mingling them, making your ideals real. A square simply means that you will have to do effort for that you will have to balance these two out, right? So let's have a look at the signs and what's going on there for these are the big chunks of the month. I don't want to make that too elaborated because then you forget everything. But what is the emphasis of this month for Aries? For Aries, it's a shift from the 3rd house to the 4th house. So before the 18th, it's very much about the 3rd house. And then after the 18th, it's very much about the 4th house. So first of all, first part of the month, it's all about communication. And it's all about thinking before you speak, right? That's square to Saturn there in your 12th house. So things from the unconscious could come up and could sabotage, so to speak. So think before you speak, make sure that you're realistic, make sure that you're not expecting too much from other people as well, people in your midst. The 3rd house is a lot about people around you, people in your neighborhood, your siblings, and so on. So be very realistic, but at the same time, have a vision towards where you want to go in life when it comes to your thoughts, when it comes to what you think about and what you speak about. And then that shift towards the 4th house is a lot about your home. It's a lot about you feeling secure. And it's a lot about what you want to focus on, what you want to beautify. Venus is going to be there, and Mercury and the Sun. So it's a lot about feeling good at home. What do you need to feel good at home? What do you value at home? Maybe you're going to beautify your home. Maybe new curtains, maybe new painting. All of that, you could say, the software of the home. Venus is not the hardware of the home, like a new floor or a new electricity. No, it's more the software, right? So you could deal a lot with these stuff. And your ruler, of course, will be in Taurus as from the 10th of June. So that's your 2nd house. So hustling for the money, but as well, it's doing a lot for your resources to maintain them and to improve them. So it's not really a month of a lot of relationship stuff and whatnot. It's a lot about your safety, especially the end of the month, and how you communicate. Taurians, this is a shift from the first couple of weeks, your 2nd house, which is your house, to the 3rd house. And it squares up to your 11th house. What does it all mean? Well, it means a shift from the first 18 days. It is a good thing to focus on your resources, what you have and what you do have, what you don't have, what you want to improve, your financial situation. There could be squaring up to Saturn. In the 11th house could mean that your expectations of your goals for the future are a bit, they have to be reviewed. They are tested here. Maybe your goal is not realistic or too idealistic. Remember Neptune there being as well. So it's going to be a balance of your resources and what you want to do with it, and to find that balance between, yes, I have a vision, but yes, is it doable? Is it realistic? So that could mean a purchase that you're going to do that is quite, I'm not talking about a dress or anything. I'm talking about big purchases that you can make to improve that. And then after the 18th of the month, there's more a focus on the third house, which is a PR house if you have your own business, which is a house of talking, communicating. It's a way more social time then for you. And it's quite enjoyable because Cancer and Taurus, forms a sextile, which means, yes, a little bit of effort needs to be done, but when you do so, you're having the benefits of good communication and good social activities for sure. Gemini, of course, you're going to have your new moon on the 6th at 16 degrees of Gemini. And there's a whole bunch of planets there in your first house. So certainly it's all about you. And of course, this fresh Jupiter, big planet coming into your sign gives a lot of meaning towards the Gemini sign. And meaning, I mean, finding meaning in yourself and not outside of yourself. That is going to be such a huge theme for Geminis, which is wonderful. It squares to Saturn and Neptune, though, in your 10th house. So what can bother you and is the balance between reality and idealism on the workplace, the career. The 10th house is your work, is your career. If you don't have a career, it's how you want to be seen in the world. It could be your parents as well, that there is some sort of a shift there happening. But all in all, it's about you. It's about a new start for you, how you see yourself, and that you're worth it. I mean, Venus in your sign, Mercury and the Sun in your sign is amazing. So do a lot of focus on the self, and it's going to help you for the part of your life, how you want to walk it. And the shift towards the second house makes really sense to me, because after the 18th, there's more focus on your second house, which is your resources, what you have, what you find important for yourself, and your worth. So I think there's going to be really an improvement in that for sure. Cancerians, the first 18 days is more about preparing, doing things behind the scenes, maybe having a little bit less energy. Maybe things are happening behind the scenes, with the sun there, especially also Venus there, maybe love behind the scenes that cannot be shown for whatever reason it is. But after the 18th, all these planets shift into your sign. So that means that you're going to feel that shift after the 18th of the month, that there's more focus on you and you can be more in the open, showing what you are all about. So the first 18 days of the month are a bit more tricky, and that square towards Saturn and Neptune, the ninth house, is that finding that balance between reality and idealism when it comes to your higher mind and when it comes to your vision for your life, where you want to go. And 1 week probably you will want to go left, and the other week you will want to go right. That's typical with this energy of Neptune and Saturn. Saturn is, 1 week you can be very afraid of achieving new things, and the other week you can go overboard and being overly excited. So it's finding that balance, and it's finding that balance the long term. So use that challenging time, because it's a challenging time for you, the first 18 days, but use it to think very deeply about long term of life. What do you want and what is important for you? So then when these planets come into your sign, that you can spread the word, that you can say what you're all about, and you can enjoy it at the same time. Leos, all this energy in Gemini is in your 11th house, and it squares up to Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house. What is this all about? This is about a huge emphasis on your purpose in life. New friends, new purposes, new goals for life. A lot about also income if you work for yourself. An expansion of that, an expansion of networking, an expansion of social media and whatnot. So although there's some good stuff there for sure, you will have to deal with that balance between security, between not going overboard, and also to be real and not too idealistic, because Saturn and Neptune in the 8th house often has to do with finances that you deal with other people. So that could be investments and whatnot. So you will have to make sure that you're not going overboard with your goals for the future, but at the same time that you're not too tight and too strict to yourself so that you can't do your goals. So it's finding that balance for sure. And then the later part of the month after the 18th is more about all these planets like Venus, the Sun, Mercury in your 12th house. It's a good time to relax. It's a good time to, you could say, think about, the things that have been important for you recently, and also the things that have held you back. So with Venus in the 12th house as well, you could have love and thoughts with Mercury there as well that you cannot show, but that's just a temporary thing for whatever the reason is. But use this energy at its best. It's energy to reload your batteries, to enjoy yourself and with yourself, and do a nice long walk at the seaside, for instance, just with yourself, so that you come to yourself and that you can relax, or do something for someone else in need and who appreciates that. The 12th house is, after all, what we, do for other people without wanting something in return, basically. Virgos, the first 18 days is really about your career. And if you don't have a career, it's about how you want to be seen in the world, or your parents, that relationship there. And there's a huge focus on expansion and on growth, and on especially with Venus there as well, attracting a lot of work, attracting you being in the spotlight for some reason. It does square Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house. So it could mean that a partner or a business partner or a romantic partner, there's some friction there. There could be too high expectations, or maybe you feel too restricted by them. Whatever it is, it's about balancing this out so that you can do what you want to do, that you can explore and that you can expand for sure, but that you take into account when you work with other people of not putting them on a pedestal, not expecting too much, and be very real with them. So it could be a bit tested if you are in a relationship. If you're not in a relationship, there could be, this going backwards and forwards between people that you are interested in. You might want to go 1 week full force, and then the other week you're afraid and you just want to get into your shelf and just hide, so to speak. But whatever it is, this is about growth of how you present yourself to the world and what your contribution is and your purpose in the world. So you can really, really do good stuff there for sure. And being of service is so important for a Virgo. Now, after the 18th, the energy is shifting a little bit to the more easy Cancerian kind of energy for you. And Cancer and Virgo goes, there's a sextile there. That's nice energy to have. And that means that there is a balance and there is easy flow energy of friends, of your hopes for the future. So you could be doing more stuff with friends, especially with Venus there, Mercury there, the Sun there. There's a bit of a highlight on your friendships, and that they give you a very nurturing feeling, and vice versa. But at the same time, it can mean a hope and a wish that you have for the future. If you have, that can really find, fruition there. Also, when you have a business on your own, this could also mean that there is a bit more focus on revenues, that there is a bit more focus on social media, income, because it's a financial house, the 11th house. It's the 2nd house from the 10th if you have your own business. Librans, this is the 9th house. This is beautiful energy for you because you are a fellow air sign. And from the 9th house with Jupiter there and all these planets like Venus and Mercury and the Sun, it's a really good time for you to travel. It's a really good time for you to learn, to teach, to go for a cultural event, to find love abroad, because Venus is there after all. Yes, it does square to Saturn and Neptune in your 6th house. So there could be a bit of a restriction and a pitfall of over idealizing when it comes to your work, your day-to-day life, your lifestyle. So don't go overboard with that. And at the same time, it could also feel that it is a bit tougher for you to work, or the work-life balance that is sometimes feeling a little bit heavier than normal. Again, this is very temporary, and especially after the 18th, there is this focus on your work, but in a more way where you can find, with Venus there, Mercury and the Sun there, that people help you, that people, if you would want a new job, for instance, this could mean that because of a person, a Venusian person helps you out with a new job, and it's a good time to ask for promotion or a rise in your salary or whatever. And so lots of hope and new energy coming in for you, for sure. Scorpios, your 8th house, which is your house. So you're going to have all that energy, Jupiter there, Venus, Mercury, the Sun, all in your Scorpio house. So a lot of attracting, especially with Venus and Jupiter there, a lot of attracting 8th house stuff, which is a financial house. So if you want to have a loan, for instance, or you're dealing with investments, inheritances, tax returns, this is a good time. Mind you, of course, that you have that Saturn and Neptune with in your 5th house. So the restriction could come from children, for instance, that there is some expenses there. At the same time, projects that you're having, money that you give out for pleasure and leisure, right? And so just make sure that there's a balance in that you don't go over the top with that 5th house, and that you're realistic when it comes to that. Of course, that combination, the 5th house, the 8th house, it's a house of death and rebirth. So children, the birth of children, maybe doing things to get children, all of that is emphasized here. And again, that balance between realism and between idealism. So finding that is really, really important for you. And then after the 18th of the month, there's a shift to the 9th house. It would be a good time, if you can, to travel. If you're looking for love, finding love abroad is definitely on the menu, with the Venus there in your 9th house and Mercury there. So also teaching, learning, writing, all these nice things are favored to open up your perspective. And things that open up our perspective is often found when we travel, when we read, when we teach, when we learn. So very interesting month for sure. Sagittarians, this is relationship, all this emphasis, not only your ruler being in that 7th house of relationships, but also Venus and Mercury there, and so on. So if you're single, this is definitely good energy to meet someone, where you have good communication with that Venus and Mercury there, for sure. But of course, there's the Saturn and the Neptune in the 4th house. So that is this balance of realism and idealism. So if you meet, especially when it's someone new, also in existing relationship, don't put them, whether you are single or not, don't put other people on a pedestal. It's not going to help you anywhere. It's going to get you towards disappointment. But at the same time, don't be too fearful and restrictive, and so that you cannot connect with people. So it's finding that balance. And some of you, and it's emotional balance, because the Saturn and Neptune is in your 4th house. There could be literally also problems at your home, right? So that you have to restore some things that you're having. With Neptune there, that you're having some leaks, for instance, that you have to address, and that gives some tension in your existing relationship. But ultimately, you're growing. You're growing with another person, because Jupiter is there in your 7th house. That's a beautiful thing. So it's a massive emphasis on key areas of your life to improve that. So do the work where you need to do it, and it's probably where Saturn is, which is your 4th house, which literally is your house. But if it's not that, it's your emotional well-being. It's the maturity of your emotions. It's handling with your emotions in a way more mature way, in not reacting immediately, you could say. And yeah, beautiful energy for Sagittarians for sure. Capricorns, you are having on the 22nd the full moon in Capricorn at 1 degree of Capricorn. So that means that you're in the spotlight and relationships become very important for you as well, and where you're standing, even if you are single, what you want in a relationship becomes important. But the first 18 days, you could say, is more oriented towards your day-to-day life, your lifestyle, your routines, your work, your health, because of that emphasis in the 6th house. And it squares to Saturn and Neptune in the 3rd. So there could be some communication that sometimes is a bit too strict and too harsh, and sometimes it's too much overboard. So with misinterpretation and misunderstanding. So watch that and take care of that. So especially I think at the workplace, that combination of the 6th house and the 3rd house. So be aware that at the workplace, if there is some expansion, which is possible with Jupiter there now, that you are really tackling this with communication, that from that 3rd house, that you really think deeply before you speak, but at the same time that you have that balance between a vision, Neptune, and between reality, which is Saturn. What is it offering you, and where do you want to go? If it's not work, if you say Veerle, work as well, it's or I don't even work, then it's more has to do with your routines and with your lifestyle, your health, and that there could be you enjoying yourself more and finding more meaning and purpose in taking care of yourself. But at the same time, sometimes your mind is your biggest enemy. That's a bit like Saturn having that, or and Neptune in the 3rd house. So there could be some things that you need to learn as well for your work or for your lifestyle to improve it. You need to learn some things, you need to learn some skills, and that could take a while as well. Aquarians, this is a very positive energy, particularly the first 18 days of the month. Why? With all that fellow air energy in your 5th house of Gemini, where Venus is, the Sun is, Mercury is there, and Jupiter, of course. So a huge highlight on how you express yourself, on love, on the things that you love to do in life. So I hope that you really have taken some steps, some first steps for maybe a new romance or a new project, a new hobby, a new way of dealing with your children, seeing that your children are growing and the relationship that you have with them to improve it. But there is a square, and that square goes towards your 2nd house where Saturn and Neptune is. So actually what you need to look out for and find balance is your expenses that have to do expenses around, again, 5th house, children, romance, hobbies, and so on. That you are realistic, that you're not giving too much, and that you have that balance between idealism and realism. So when you are single, for instance, and you're dating, certainly expansion there, certainly opportunity for you to meet new people, but it's that balance between don't put anyone on a pedestal and don't be too rigid either, that you've got a list for the first date that you're having and you're still coming there with your list. You can't do this, that, and that. So it's finding that balance, which is a very natural and healthy thing to do. And towards the more end of the month, the 18th and onwards, there's more focus on your 6th house, which is more focus on your work, your day-to-day life, your lifestyle, and your health as well. So there you could focus a little bit more on making that more enjoyable, having better routines. Could also mean more work for you, but enjoyable work that, because Venus is about what you attract, but it's definitely in a good way. Last but not least, Pisceans, this is happening. It's an important month because all key areas of your life are triggered here, especially your 4th house. The first 18 days of the month is the core of your horoscope. You could say the core of you, which is your your roots, your emotional well-being, literally your home as well. So there is for you a lot of, you could say, those benefics, those positive planets there, like Venus, like Jupiter, Mercury, but it does square to Saturn and Neptune in your own sign, which means that yes, you can expand your literally your home. You know, you could be shifting from homes, going towards a bigger home or a better home or a home with more purpose. But the being staying realistic is important with the Saturn in your sign, and also at the same time keeping the vision. So not too realistic so that you get pessimistic, and not too idealistic so you're not being real in this life anymore. It's finding that balance. Of course, not every Piscean is going to move and sell their homes and buy new homes. For a lot of you, this is also your home life. Especially if you work from the home place, or in another level, you could say your emotions, how you feel safe. And there's a lot of fresh and very positive energy there available to have more purpose, to feel safe within yourself. I mean, so you could say literally, you know, when everything is well in your house, in your home, it gives you some shelter and it gives you a nice warmth when it's cold and so on. But it's also on the inside, you dealing with your own child, and you could say giving warmth to yourself like a parent would do. Because of that, you're finding a lot of emotional stability. I've been talking about that for quite a while, but especially now, this is going on for you towards the end of the month. So you could say 18th of June and onwards, it's a fellow water sign where all the planets are going to be, or a lot of planets, not all, but a lot, like the Sun and Venus and Mercury, they're all going to be in Cancer in your 5th house. So there's more the emphasis on enjoyment. So like it's the first part is more your home, your security, how you feel safe and what you can do about that. And the second part, 18th and onwards, is more towards how you enjoy yourself. Doing lots of stuff that you enjoy, whether it is cooking, traveling, or just enjoying the company of other people and having going to the cinema with a friend or whatever. So love as well. Romance is definitely on the horizon here, with that beautiful 5th house lifted up by these Cancerian energies. So you can find a lot of nurturing and a lot of emotional fulfillment with falling in love here. On another level, it's your children, if you have them. It could be a bit more in a positive way. I say in a positive way, having a bit more focus there, that you get along with them better. It's more fluent. You can do nice things together and enjoy each other's company, and strengthen the connection in a more beautiful, in a more peaceful way, because it's Venus and Mercury after all. So that's it for June. I think it's a pretty chill month, of course, in general. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching. Share, like, subscribe, comment, and see you next time. Bye-bye.